Marissa's mom kept calling Marissa Mama. She's like, "Oh, Mama, that dress looks gorgeous, Mama."
Yeah, that was.
And I was like, the mom's calling her daughter Mama?
Yeah, the dynamic between them is.
An interesting one.
Yeah. Definitely different.
Welcome back to A Fine Podcast with your hosts, Amanda and...
Joseph, yes. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the almost Christmas episode.
Yes, it's the holiday season.
Yes, we are less than, well, actually 1 week away. Less than 1 week away.
Can you believe Christmas is coming up so fast?
No. Seems like it gets faster as each year goes by.
Life just starts speeding up.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like there's less time to try to do more festive things.
Yeah, it seems really busy lately.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been able to. We did go see some lights, but
That was fun.
yeah.
We did go see some holiday lights.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't feel like it's as much as I'd like to or be able to. But
Well, we still have time to do more things. So
oh, yes. Yeah. It's not over yet.
it's
but-
not over yet. And we are going to visit Santa soon.
Yes. We shall be in a mall.
Mall Santa.
Yeah. It'll be swell.
Our kids get to see Santa and we get to see a mall and we may do some last minute Christmas shopping.
Yeah, we can take a walk through a nice mall again.
That'll be fun.
It's like a once a year thing now. Take a stroll through one.
All because Santa's there.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to celebrating the holidays, and we have to get stuff for our famous cookie dough recipe so we can make some really good cookies for Santa.
Yes, we will have to make some very good cookies for him.
Chocolate chip.
Yes, with a secret recipe.
It's super secret.
But yeah, we have to make sure he is well fed.
Yes, the boys don't want to get coal this year, so
Yeah, exactly. They got to be nice.
the nice list.
Yeah.
So, we're here to talk about Love is Blind episodes 10 and 11.
Ooh, yes, this riveting material of whether or not the couples will make it or not. And they're starting to drop like flies.
Still happening. Still happening.
Yes.
Even in the later episodes.
Yeah. Some are there, some are not. Who's left? Who isn't? What's happening?
What's happening?
What's happening?
I'm a savage. Yes, so let's start by talking about all the couples, and then we will talk about specifically the party where they all unite again together. And then we will also talk about the wedding and suit dress shopping.
Oh, yes, yeah.
A lot happened. A lot happened in these past 2 episodes.
Yeah, well, that scene was just like painful to bear through. It just took forever.
Yeah, this is where I admitted to you that when I was watching this alone before you became so supportive of this series, I tend to fast forward a little bit through like the later half of episode 11.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah. And sometimes I just fast forward like through the next episode a little bit too, just to see like what happens, at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
But we will not be doing that. We will be watching every single detail here.
Yes, no cliff notes here. Getting the full.
Painful experience of watching every single detail. No, it's fun. It's fun.
Yes, yes.
So let's talk about the couples in general, aside from the party and the dress try-ons.
Yes.
Where would you like to start?
I don't know, I feel like we've just always started with Garrett and Taylor, so
Well, they're at the top of the list.
yeah. We'll start with the best and work our way to the worst.
Okay. So Garrett and Taylor, they went to a handwriting activity together, and they bring Taylor's grandparents love letters that she has in a box and that she has saved. And they study those love letters, they pick out special quotes from them, and they're writing them together.
Yeah, I guess this is like a calligraphy class. I I don't really fully understand the point of it. It would have been interesting if they had kind of filmed more
If
of.
they explain what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean they had the teacher say, find a phrase that sticks out to you from this letter, and then I guess they're supposed to rewrite the letter, but they're just using fancy styling
Yeah, I
in their
think it's
writing.
different
Or
styling and different colors.
yeah, I mean it seemed. Yeah, I don't
That's all I know about
Yeah.
it. I wish I knew more details.
Yeah, they really. I mean, that's not the point, I guess, though. But I don't know. I was interested to see like what was their yielded result. Like at least like with the Monica and Steven flower thing, you got to see
That's true.
the
Yeah.
ending of their designs. Where this you did not.
Yes, they kind of skipped past that part.
Yeah.
But I guess they really wanted you to focus on the message that they were incorporating her grandparents' true love into their true love.
Yes, how sweet.
Very nice. So things happen with them at the party that we will discuss later. But we see that they go to San Diego to visit Taylor's parents. They do a quick pan of her family and her friends there. We get to see them. We get to see Taylor's mom. And so they overall have a good trip seeing everybody, but they didn't really want to be on camera a whole bunch.
Yeah, I guess they didn't even have the camera crew there. They had Garrett do like a quick with his own phone, just a quick
Woo!
spin around
Yeah.
of hey, we're here.
And everybody was like, hey, that was it.
I'm meeting the family. We're talking. We're discussing. We didn't just imaginarily meet up.
Right,
so.
like they exist.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, so there was no. I mean, I'm sure everything went fine, but yes, there was which I could totally understand not wanting to be on camera for this. So
Yeah. So they have dinner together in a science and art themed place.
yeah, I guess this was some science center, or maybe yeah. Well, yeah,
A museum? Was it that?
I think it was a museum, but it seemed focused on. I guess yeah, they're in DC, so there's some sciencey museum there. That's because they go into this room and it's almost like there's just projectors everywhere in the entire room displaying different sciencey things that both of them understood, and I mean it looked kind of cool, but yeah, I wonder what it was to make that happen. But yeah, they get to eat in this open projector filled room.
That looked nice.
Yeah, I mean they had some like formulas and things, but I guess there was some like space like views and
Yeah.
feelings and ambiance. So
Yeah. So what we learned during this dinner is that Garrett puts his mustard in the pantry and not in the fridge, which Taylor finds very odd. And he says, It's only mustard seed and vinegar. Why does it need to go in the fridge?
Yeah, I mean, I've always put mine in the fridge, but I've never, I've never actually looked at the breakdown and structure and ingredients to assemble the mustard as a paste. So
Well, it's true. You know how Chinese spicy mustard packets that they have? You don't refrigerate those. Those stay
oh
out
yes,
and they're
yeah,
basically the same ingredients.
yeah, yeah, because vinegar itself is already such a cleaning agent. So
So I think that's at first it was really weird. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, oh, I kind of understand. But I still have always put my mustard in the fridge.
yeah. Well, I mean, yes, yeah, I always have too. But yeah, kind of hearing him explain that, it did make me kind of think. Well, actually, yeah, I guess that's really that's all. Because I mean, with ketchup, there's a lot more that goes into making ketchup. Well, I don't think there needs to be, but there is a bunch of other ingredients that I guess are perishable. So therefore, that should stay in the fridge, but the mustard does not.
Yeah, but I'm not moving my mustard to the pantry.
Oh, I'm gonna try it out now.
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be taking it from the pantry, and
That's weird. I'm not doing that.
at least it's not cold.
So let's move on to Ashley and Tyler. We hone in on them, and they are just recovering from their fight that they had in the previous episode. And Tyler is trying to explain his situation a little bit more with the children that he has.
Yeah, so they're talking, and I mean, I guess there was just she just kind of seemed open to, willing to kind of mull it over, think it over more, and kind of see how she feels about it, and some time passing.
Yeah, she
Versus,
says they
yeah,
can try to move on from this because she still would like to get married.
yes, yeah,
But she does ask him a question. Do the kids know what you look like? And he says,
yeah. His response to saying "I don't think so" was not a great. How would you
shouldn't
not
it be yes or no?
not know? Yes, that seems like a black and white answer. That's
Unless he was saying, like, I don't think so. Maybe the mother showed them a picture. I'm not sure.
yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't think it was that.
I mean, to me, this seems like he knows. It's almost where he knows they have, and then he's throwing up this defense and doesn't want to make the situation any worse, especially since she's seeming to be coming over and willing to go through. So
Yeah, so
he
lying is a
says,
good idea.
well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make, but I almost feel like it was just because it was in the moment and he just didn't want to make that moment worse. So he just that's what he came up with first,
Well,
just
if I
saying.
asked you that question, you said, I don't think so. I think I would have challenged that a little bit. I would have been like, what are you talking about?
Well, yeah, I mean, when I want to, it should be like yes or no. Or you come back and say, no, I never have unless she's showed
Right,
them a
right.
picture of me
That
or
would have
something.
been the
But
answer,
to my, like you said, to my knowledge, no, I have not. I've never revealed myself to them. So,
which we learn later.
right. Well, I think through social media, right?
Yes,
Not not through the show,
is a
through
lie.
external sources. But
We'll talk more about that later
yeah,
in another episode. But
yeah.
yes, unfortunately, Tyler's not looking too good
But
on social media.
oh, well, yeah. So I think this is just almost a instinctual thing to just try to mitigate the situation, even though I guess it will clearly come back to bite him later. But
Yeah, in general.
she handled this very well, I thought. I mean, she was very rational. She didn't let the emotion just bubble over and blow up. And
Yeah, it was commendable the way she handled and composed herself given this news.
yeah, yeah, I thought she handled it very well. So
He's lucky that he had her
Yeah.
because I don't know many people that would handle it that well.
Yeah, definitely.
So they go racing for a date, and then they also go skydiving, which is what they connected about in the pod, saying that they wanted to go skydiving when they get married right before.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool to see that they actually filmed them or showed them doing that. That they actually went and did it, and I know, it was kind of interesting because to see they both were really doing wanting to do it, but then Tyler was a little apprehensive going into it, but Ashley didn't seem to have much of a fear for it. So she kind of pushes him forward, and they go, and then yeah, they survive, and it's a good old
They
time.
made it. Yeah, that was
They
great.
landed.
They landed.
They touched down back on Earth.
So let's move on to Alex and Tim now.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's a big jump.
From skydiving to a relationship plummeting.
Crashing and burning.
Alex and Tim. So Alex meets Tim's parents in this first episode, and Tim looks a lot like his dad. We saw, and his parents are nice, and they just want the best for their son. And he actually pulls his parents aside, meets with them alone, and just says, I'm still having some issues with her that we're just not bonding 100% over things. And his mom says, well, you're never going to find perfection here.
Yeah, I think his mom gave great advice. I thought this was strange that the dad was so silent.
Yeah, we were talking about this. The dad let the mom do all of the talking, and he didn't say a word.
Yeah, it seemed, which, yeah, we were kind of saying, I know in this situation, if I was on camera like this, I mean, I'd probably say some things, but there would be some things that I would want to say that would be off camera. And maybe he just wanted to have most of his stuff off camera where she was fine with saying whatever she wanted on camera, is my only guess. Because it did seem strange that he just totally said no or nothing.
Either that, or he's just a pretty silent person or something.
Yeah, which that could be it as well. But it was like she said a whole bunch of stuff, and then she's like, "Right? Or do you agree to Tim
He was
Senior?"
like,
And then he just said yes.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. There was like nothing.
He like barely even opened his mouth to say yes
Yeah.
to that. So, yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought the mother gave good advice, and
That was good advice. I think Tim was kind of hoping to hear, it's okay if you if you break up or something, because I don't know. I think he's like starting to notice some key differences between him and Alex.
yeah, I mean, there are quite some differences between the way they do business and operate as individuals. So
Yes.
yeah, there was more and more cracks as time was unfolding.
So let's get into the fight between Alex and Tim. So we see Alex eating her food. She just heated it up. And Tim sits down with her and then says he's really upset because his parents drove 10 hours to come meet Alex, hang out with her. And he said, as soon as the cameras shut off, you went to sleep. And he said, this is very disrespectful.
Yeah, it's interesting because we see, I mean, she says that she slept for like an hour or something, and then
She said she was exhausted.
and then
It was only an hour.
right, which I don't know. I don't think they're going, or maybe they are going to work if they have jobs. I guess still.
I can't remember if I've seen this online or if this was something that was said, but I think she has a bartender job and something during the day, and I think she was getting rest in between the two jobs, or right before. Maybe she took off the job during the day and then got some rest and then went to do the night shift of her work after. So that may have been part of it, but I can't remember where I heard that from.
Yeah, because she doesn't say why she's so tired. And then it does beg to ask the question why she had to nap while they're there. I mean, I would think if I had my my girlfriend's family coming in for the first time to
Your
see them,
fiance's
I would.
family for the
Oh
first.
yeah, actually, yeah, right, yeah. That I would not want to do that or anything
Yeah,
of that
you would be
sort.
the type of person that you would be there with a smile on, with your eyes shut. Even like, you wouldn't sleep for like 48 hours, so you'd be able to make a good impression and to be like a part of the family. Like that would be what you'd probably expect out of someone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But
I'd probably be the same way. But yeah, just heading off and taking a nap. When you just hear it like that, you're like, oh wow.
and it does, I guess, too. And this might have been some of his issue was he was kind of thinking internally too. Well, does she really have feelings for me if
Right, she's not taking
that
it seriously.
right if she's willing or wants to just take a nap during this while they drove, I think he said like 8 or 10 hours or something, 10 hours I think, and then to not spend all the time available to her with them. So
Yeah, I think this was the last straw for him. But she does make some arguments like I was present almost the entire time. I just took a 1 hour nap. You didn't communicate what you wanted out of me. And then Tim says, well, I reflected on all of this and what I've wanted out of a wife, and you aren't the one. And then Alex says, well, is your mind made up? And he says, it is. Yep, it is. And then he says, we just have a lot of disagreements. And then he says, I never want to see you again.
yeah, this was well. I mean, I do kind of get her point of not maybe didn't fully communicate that, but also at the same time, I feel like
What is he supposed to say? Don't sleep when my parents are around? Isn't that just like something you should
right. I would
know?
think something like that would be that, or I don't know, or even if you know you were so tired that you just needed to take a quick thing. I don't know. I guess check with him and
Right.
this
Just
is okay. I'm just
right.
sorry. I need to or something along that line. Um, but
Right.
anyway, but
He never wants to see her again.
yeah, I guess I guess he was clearly quite offended by this, and that was well. And this, I mean, and this was what this was basically the real big fight outside of the one they had at the
Yes.
Mexico place,
Yep.
Kanto. So, which I was thinking that yeah, something. Well, to him, this was huge. So, and that was the final straw. So, I mean, and this is where we, I mean, it was to see him do this, and then everything he said to Alex's dad, and
Just thinking back to that moment with Alex's dad and how touching that was, it all just got thrown out the window.
I mean, this is why I think these things that are so quick and like this are just, it's so easy to just easily say all these things
And
and
that's
then
so sad. He
not,
said, I accept you as my son to him.
yeah,
And that is not to be taken lightly.
yeah. Well, even all the things he told her dad. I mean,
I
you know,
promise to care for her. I promise to listen to her, hear her
yeah,
out, communicate with her.
yeah, and then it's then just a flip of the switch like this.
I
And
think he was getting fed up, and then that was just like so disrespectful to him that he was just like, I can't do this anymore.
well, and from the first argument, he was already, I think, taken back probably by how she reacted to it, and I think that really already put him off. And I thought that, or was thinking that something else that is serious, he may just say that's it at this point, which I don't think is great from his side. But I mean, but I don't know if you're gonna you said all those things to the father, and then now you're just throwing it all and just done with it.
That's
I mean,
sad.
that wasn't.
I never want to see you again. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And then he leaves. And then,
But then they see each other later.
yes, they do see each other later, which is kind of crazy. But before that, we notice that Alex continues on eating her meal that she started eating before the fight.
Well, yeah, I was actually.
I would be so sick to my stomach if like something like that just happened and she's just like, well, all right, time to dunk this in some dip.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this because she was like, "Oh, I haven't eaten all day. Can I eat?" And then they got in this huge fight, and then I did kind of think, man, I'd probably not really want to eat, but I don't know. I guess too, maybe at the same time, if I haven't eaten all day, then I'd probably still want at least a little bit. Maybe I probably
know
wouldn't eat the
you.
whole plate.
This would take you forever after something like that to try to eat.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Just like instantly, like he hasn't even shut the door yet, and you're dipping in your
Or it's just
thing.
it's so awkward right now while he's there waiting to leave the room.
Oh, I guess so.
I don't know. You're just doing it purely.
Yeah, I don't know.
out
I
of
can't really judge
nervousness
completely,
maybe,
but yeah, maybe you're right. She's just so hungry. She just had to.
yeah.
It's time for Hannah and Nick. Hannah and Nick.
Yes. Hannah and Nick. Well, yeah. So I guess we're done with Alex and Tim for good now. They are scratched off the agenda.
Scratch them off.
Yeah. Now, it's Hannah and Nick.
So we start off at an engagement shoot. And Nick asks if he can have blocks to put underneath his feet so he can be taller in the pictures.
Yeah. This, I don't know if he just doesn't own any pair of like boots or something with a little bit more soul in them, because he's only wearing sneakers, but there's ways to try to make yourself look a little bit, if you need that.
What was he wearing? He was wearing
Sneakers.
Sneakers, okay. Yeah.
But at least like wear something with a little bit of a heel to it that can prop you up a little bit more if you want.
Right.
And yeah, you could get past that, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Some tips for Nick. But he can't let this go. He keeps making comments about how Hannah's taller than him, and I don't think he likes it. So Hannah's grilling Nick some more and from last time, and she says, "You said you would read books, Nick. Have you read yet? Have you read any books yet? When does Nick have time to read books if he's filming this TV show and doing a million different things?"
Maybe like an audiobook or something.
Have you read yet? Does that count?
Yeah.
Nick tells Hannah that he feels like she thinks he's a level below her. And he says he just wants to be treated like an equal. Hannah responds to this and says, to be treated like an equal, you have to start contributing like an equal. So he doesn't get equal treatment until he's contributing like an equal in Hannah's eyes.
Which this I didn't, because I don't know if she ever got employed yet at this, or if she's still. I don't know.
It never talks
maybe,
about that
but
after. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know, or maybe she just has enough stored up or something where she's still paying majority, but. And I guess, I don't know, maybe was it, but I mean, I don't know. It seems like he was at this point, but maybe he's not. But I don't know. You definitely saw like the look on his face with this was not great, and I felt like this was a pretty big cut into their relationship, where I think I don't know. I think it kind of cut pretty deep for him hearing that.
Yeah, it's terrible. I think all these comments are just building up and up and up to the point where he just has to start saying some things.
And so much of it, yeah, she is breaking him down constantly. It feels like.
It really is just verbal abuse at this point. It's just
Yeah. I don't know.
that's not going to help anything by treating somebody like this.
Yeah. Yeah, let alone fiance.
Right. So they have some issues at the party that we'll talk about in a little bit and after the party. But other than that, we see that Nick meets Hannah's friends and Hannah talks about her concerns about Nick, and then Hannah's friends all gang up on Nick.
Yeah, this seemed very strange because this was just like the two of her friends, but everyone was just grilling him, and they were really offended with how he was reacting to things, and I don't know. That session just felt weird. Like I don't know, this whole thing. I feel like every interaction he has with other people has just been him getting grilled
Yes.
constantly.
Yes. Poor Nick. This is terrible. So after that whole terrible session, then Hannah meets with her mom and she says that her and Nick really don't match up and her friends didn't like him. And her mom says, "We just want you to be happy."
Yeah, I mean, it just I don't know. There just I don't know. There just wasn't
No,
much here. I mean,
no.
I feel like this is where you're just seeing the opening of the cracks just coming into their relationship and really kind of putting the spotlight on the issues of how does this work.
Right.
I mean, with how everything's being played out and handled, this is just done poorly.
Yep. So Nick and Hannah talk about Hannah's concerns and they talk about the list again that Hannah made back during their trip. And Hannah says, "Well, all of my concerns, they're still there, Nick. They're still there." And Nick says, "Well, you're mean and you talk down to me." And then Hannah responds to this by grilling him on what his responsibilities are. And then Nick says, "Well, you're bashing me." This whole thing is just terrible. She's not hearing him out.
Well, and this whole thing where she dishes it all out, but then as soon as anything's dealt back to her, it's just like a complete
Yeah, and all he says is like, "Why are you so mean to me?" essentially.
yeah. Yeah, this really was like a pretty I mean, I do get that like I think there is some things that he has to work on and he
For
probably isn't
sure.
as prepared as the average person his age. So yeah, I do understand Hannah's point from that perspective, but
Yeah,
she is a
I
little
do too.
overboard. I feel like of just constantly.
She
I
keeps
mean,
using the excuse that she's direct. I'm direct. I'm direct.
yeah,
But that's not a good excuse for being mean.
yeah. Well, especially when then he's starting to get agitated, and he does a little comeback, and then she's just like completely offended by this.
Yeah, and his comebacks are, "Can you stop bashing me all the time?"
Yeah,
And her comebacks are, "You have no responsibilities. You have no bills to pay. You have nothing going on."
which I do think their their upbringings were so different, and I think that plays a lot into this and why it doesn't really mesh well for them. Because you had her where she got kicked out at 18 and basically just had to learn the ropes to things very quickly on her own and fend for herself. And you have Nick who's still with his parents at 28 and very not having to learn everything and become independent very quickly and
Two extreme opposites.
yeah, and you see that coming out because you see a lot of Hannah yelling at him more so of you need to know how to be independent at this point.
Right.
It's like I already had to do this 10 years ago, and meanwhile you're just learning it now, and
Yeah, that's scary to
you had
her.
this comfy life, and I had to figure it all out, and so
Yeah.
I think there is like a lot of some of her deeper issues kind of coming to the light, and they're being taken out against him, but
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
yeah, being that dynamic, I think it doesn't mesh well as far as into a
Yeah,
relationship.
because she's like, this is unbelievable. How could you be acting this way? I've been on
Yeah,
my own for 10 years.
right. Or if she had an understanding of it and knew how to better build him up with it versus just tearing him down.
Right.
But with her, how she's been molded based on her action or past, no, this is not a viable relationship.
And Hannah realizes that. So she says, we're not going to get married. And Nick says, well, that's too bad because I was willing to give this my all. And then they hug.
Yeah, and this is, I don't know.
That was kind of weird. The whole breakup was weird.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that almost seems. I don't know if either of them really were ready. It almost just kind of seems like a front they're putting on at the end of it. But
It does. It's
because
very disconnected.
I mean, if you're supposed to be married, like you look at theirs versus like Tim and Alex's, where I do think like Alex looks a lot more hurt by things versus
She got to
Nick.
eat pretty quickly after
Okay,
that.
yeah, the eating. Yeah, but they didn't hug and act like friends and all this stuff after.
Yeah, they were mad at each other. This one
Where
was
theirs is
just
just
kind
like,
of
oh, all right, I guess it's not gonna work. All right, well, I'll
see ya.
yeah, have a good life or something. Like, I don't know. I would think, if your feelings were at a much deeper level, it would hurt a lot more. Like
That's true.
Alex's situation.
That's true.
Versus
Yeah.
by not really being hurt at all, I don't think your connection was that deep. Then,
Well, Nick
so.
says, I would have given this my all. It really is too bad. It seemed like she
Yeah.
wasn't hurt at all. She was like,
Right.
okay, come here, Nick. She's the one who like instigated the hug.
Yes, no, I do think she really didn't have much of a
Yeah, it was like no connection after that.
yeah. And then well, I guess never mind. That's after the party, but
So let's dive into Ramses and Marissa.
yes, Ramses and Marissa before.
So they're not agreeing on when to have kids now. Ramses is concerned that in the pods they agreed to 3 to 5 years from now that they would have children. And now it's different for Marissa. So this is causing a huge disagreement between the two of them.
Yeah, so they wake up, or we see them the next morning after the big argument, and they're still kind of discussing things, and he seems really bothered by this timeline thing of it potentially happening sooner.
Yeah, they're not on the same page.
And I think she's a little bit older too, right? I think he's younger and she's older.
Yes.
So, which yeah, I think there's he just wants more time, but
I think he's second guessing everything at this point because Marissa starts asking him if he has any doubts, and he says, I just want to make sure that our long-term intimacy is good and on the level it should be right now. And I think he's just freaking out in his head because Marissa said she wasn't feeling well.
Well, I think too, I mean they had the big argument about the military thing, and now they're having the argument about the kids, so I think it almost does seem like everything that they were agreeing on are fine within the pods, once they're now in reality is like the opposite, or just not what they agreed on or felt the same way in the pods.
That's a good point.
And so I think too there is almost this, well, wait a second, this is
then
not what I thought originally.
On top of it, Marissa's not feeling well, so she's off from what she usually is acting like.
Yeah, she mentioned she isn't feeling well, and he likes the touch and hugging and whatnot to feel the love. That's his part of his love language thing.
But part of the thing I hated here was like him questioning everything just because she's not feeling the best that week. If you're sick or if you have something going on, like it's supposed to be like, let's figure it out together and try to make you feel comfortable and until you're able to feel better. And
Yeah, right.
to him, he just freaked out over it. So that was weird.
Well, because I think, I, I mean, I feel like what ultimately what happened is they had the emotional connection in the pods. Then, and then when they met met in person, things became more physical based, and then everything more revolved around that, and then the emotional stuff was almost breaking down, or the ideas were changing, like the military and the kids and different things. All of that was changing. So then, really, I think for him it was almost just the physical part left, and then seeing that she was just didn't want to really, hug or have like a closeness that way. For him, then almost kind of felt, I think, at that point, well, what's left in the relationship then? Because
I better
the
jump
emotional
ship.
level's struggling, and now she doesn't want me to touch her,
the
and
physical
stuff.
is just disintegrating.
Yeah. So I think it almost is like, well,
he's freaking out too
happening?
fast, and he's not putting his all into this process too. But yeah.
Yeah, I think they jumped way too much into the physical part.
I think that was their biggest problem.
That became which is the whole opposite of the Love Is Blind thing. But I think it all became physical, and the mental, emotional parts just like checked out way in the beginning.
Well,
and
I
so
think
then
Marissa
now it's
picked
just
him
breaking down
over the physical part to
Oh,
begin with.
yes,
From
for
like
sure.
the physical things they talked about. So she's like, "Oh yeah, great. Woo."
Right. Yeah.
Which was wrong too. So Marissa still wants to discuss the plans for her wedding, so she says, "I don't want an aisle in the wedding." And then Ramses says, "Are we just descending from the heavens to get to the front?" Which I thought this comment was really funny.
Yeah, she tried to. It would have been interesting. It would have been nice to almost have the camera pan on her drawing, because I would need to see this drawn out. I don't really understand.
Well, Ramses didn't understand it.
Yeah, right. But even to mentally try to picture what is going on is difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
This did not make sense to me either. So
no aisle. And Marissa is kind of upset with Ramses for not putting as much effort and thought into their wedding planning as she is. So they fight a little bit about that. And then Marissa's feeling better again, much better. So then now they're getting along again, which that's silly, Ramses.
yeah, well, they have this, and then they have the water, or the hot tub.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Water.
The hot tub boat. That looks like the coolest activity ever. You're in a boat, in a hot tub on the boat, but it doesn't even look like a hot tub.
Yeah, I mean,
Google hot tub boat. Was it DC? Hot tub boat DC?
Oh, on the banner?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. Somebody Google it, because it is the coolest. We have to go at some point.
Okay.
Just sit around in some hot water, like in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand the thrill of this, but yeah,
this isn't on your bucket list.
We can give it a try.
Oh, after that, I, definitely mentally put that on my.
I mean, I like boats and
list.
I like going in the water, but to be in a hot tub in a boat,
yes,
I don't need that.
You said you like both things.
Sure, yeah, a boat where I'll sit in the boat, and then we'll dock and I'll jump in the water or something at that point. But
no,
I don't need
a hot tub while you're looking at the water.
In water on a boat.
Yes,
looking out on water.
It's a more comfortable temperature.
Not if it's summertime. It's warm enough.
Either way. Yeah, so they're on the hot tub boat and they're getting along much better.
Yeah, but then Marissa does kind of subtly hint at, well, I'm doing all the wedding planning, I'm doing my law school, I'm doing all this stuff, and then
What are you doing,
you're not
Ramses?
really doing that much. And he's like, oh well, I'm focused on making sure we're okay, and
Which
we'll
sounds
make
like
it
a
there.
pile of crap.
But yeah, so then there is this subtlety there that Marissa kind of feels like she's handling everything and he's not doing much.
But then Marissa says, I'd be willing to be unhappy for precisely 5 to 7 years with someone before I would consider divorcing them. And Ramses says, wow, that's a long time. That's a long time to be unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was a strange remark, but
Yes, yeah.
but
I think
yeah,
Ramses is freaking out because he's thinking like, if this goes horribly wrong, we're gonna have to stay together, or she won't get out of this for 5 to 7 years.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It does seem like more and more issues are coming to the surface.
I think he's panicking, and at the end of the last episode, we see them both in a fight.
Well, yes, right. So there is at the end of 11. There's a scene of them having an argument, and now this may be the do or die situation for them.
That's where it ends. Ramses has
And
doubts.
and yeah, it looks like theirs is coming to an end finally. So yeah, no, I think they'll be on the chopping block as well here shortly.
That's your prediction.
Yeah. Which means then all we have is Ashley and Tyler and Garrett and Taylor as our two who look like they'll even make it down the aisle.
Yep.
So I'd like to say so far I've been pretty spot on about
Yeah.
that.
All your predictions.
Yeah.
So let's go into the party. There's a 20s Gatsby themed party happening, and everybody's coming back, or most people are coming back. Most, not all.
Well, yeah, so this I guess they tried to get all the people or all the couples that came on, and then
Even some people from the pods.
right. And I guess they do this well, and this whole thing like really kind of irked me. I mean, this whole thing is purely for TV and creating a rise and drama,
Yeah.
which I think is frustrating because I think you're throwing them into some of these couples into a situation that you're putting them like in the fire under the heat, for their relationship to try to make it out of this.
It's definitely on purpose.
But then you try to make this show of like, oh, can people make it out? Is love is blind and all this stuff? But then you're like throwing these intentional things that are going to potentially sabotage.
Yeah, but can they get over it? That's
No.
the true question.
I mean, yes, yeah, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's this TV that they have to. That's their first and foremost thing. It's not about the love or the relationship. It's TV first and foremost.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
so this irks me a little bit about doing the thing.
It's all for the drama.
Because it
got to spice it up. It can't be too boring towards the end.
Because they bring back, so I mean, for everybody, it really wasn't a big deal, right? I mean, if they just brought back the couples and then even
some
Monica, well, yeah, I mean, so Monica comes back, Steven doesn't come back.
I thought that was interesting.
I thought they would have been like contractually obligated to show up to this thing.
Yeah, so we have to look that up because Steven, was he just a no-show or did they not want him to come back after the weird thing that he did at the sleep study?
I mean, Monica mentions that they talked afterward. They kind of
I thought this was really interesting.
Cleared the air, and I guess that they're at least on an amicable term. I mean, I'm sure they'll probably never talk again, but I mean,
no, they ask her like, Monica, would you ever get back together with him? She says, oh no, I'll never get back together with him, but we talked for 2 hours on the phone and he is a good person who just made a horrible mistake.
Right. Or I mean, to the like they're gonna stay friends or anything like that afterward. They're just gonna
But I thought that was nice that she said,
Well, it was nice,
some
right? That they at
a
least
nice
had a
wrap up to that.
right. They had an actual conversation about what happened and got past it.
I can't believe Monica did that. She could have just been done with it after that. But
I'm sure she probably was wanting to know more about it. I'm sure it was kind of eating her to know
yeah,
what was
maybe.
going on. So
And then Alex and Tim both come back, but separately,
yes,
because this was right after Tim said to Alex, "I never want to see you ever again.
yeah. Meanwhile, it's like
I'll see you
a
at the
day or
20s
two
party. Yeah,
later,
I'll be seeing you at the Great Gatsby
they
party."
get thrown into this together,
I
but they
thought
don't
that was
talk or anything. They just
hilarious.
show up.
Which, thank goodness, they didn't have some crazy weird fight there. That would have been terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, I think it would have. Cause he would have never said anything. She would have had to walk up to him to say something, but I don't think she would have done that.
Yeah, I
I
think they
mean,
were
not to
just,
make a scene at the event.
yeah, they stayed separate. That was good. So let's talk about our shocking moment with Garrett and Taylor.
Yeah, so we find out right before they walk in that Taylor or Garrett liked the message, or according to him at this point, he liked a message that his ex sent him on a platform, and
They're fighting right before they walk into the party.
right.
And
And so Taylor is upset by this, and because it may seem strange. Why would you want to talk to your former girlfriend and whatnot? So she's hurt by this, and
then they
he
talk about it as a group inside. And Garrett then tells the group, I did respond back to her when she contacted me, just saying, I'm really happy with my fiance now. I hope you have a good life. And then this shocks Taylor even more because she said, all you said was you liked the comment. You didn't say that you commented back to her. So this is news to me.
you're right. Yeah, this was this was weird because it was almost like kind of like what Ashley was saying. It's like he forgot that Taylor was there or something, and then because now he's opening up and saying all these new details that he
Which,
didn't
why would he
came out
intentionally
clean
lie,
before.
though? That's kind of weird.
Well, I don't know if there was something with the alcohol opened up.
Yeah, but do you think he intentionally lied to Taylor before he walked in, just saying, oh, yeah, I like the message?
I don't know. I think it's almost kind of the same situation of like Tyler with Ashley, where I don't think so. I mean, it was almost more of this thing to almost just mitigate it, but
Maybe right before, and then he was going to give her the whole story after. I mean, I just think the way he said that, I mean, mm-mm.
I mean, I think yeah, you might as well just come out and said what you needed to
It
in
should
the
have been,
beginning.
here's exactly what was said. You can read it
Yeah.
before we walk inside. Um, but overall, he shouldn't have liked or responded to it. It's not his obligation to do that, too. So,
Well, this whole thing, I mean, this was like yeah, I mean, we were talking, I mean, I think I don't know, I almost think liking it would have been weirder than responding to it. Or at least if you're going to say just, I'm engaged now, please don't message me again. You could have said something
that
like
would have
that
been
to
fine.
just say
Yeah.
that. I feel like liking it would be worse than that almost because I don't. I feel like that just gives you some weird. You could take that as any way,
Yeah.
especially for the other person. I don't know, maybe they're, but and this thing too, right? I mean, you've got to know. I mean, come on, they probably know you're on this show or something, and that you are. I don't know if they've been able to post anything about this, or if she even found out. I don't know. Maybe she purely didn't know he was with someone or something. But I almost feel like this could have just been purely to stir up some drama between them, or just
And it
something
worked.
along those lines, right? And so for him, it's like just take the bait like that. Like, come on, just
Yeah.
just move on. I mean, there's this was just like an easy thing to avoid. And
Yeah, it was. And I think he knows he messed up and he tells Taylor, I didn't think there was a difference between a like or a comment, sorry. And Taylor's crying and Garrett's apologizing. And this is when Taylor's saying, you're supposed to meet my family tomorrow.
yeah, and then we find out. I mean, he meets her parents, and
Everything goes
all is
fine.
well, and they have their dinner after that. And so, yeah, there's no relationship ending drama here, and they are still a-okay for moving forward.
That's right. So let's go into Nick and Hannah at the party.
Yeah, so I mean, this is where the setup is, or I was mainly talking about in the beginning, because the whole setup of Nick had this connection, I guess, which, or I guess actually remembering back now, they did show her very little, but he had this connection with this other person.
They went on 3 dates, Katie and Nick together, and then Katie decided she didn't want to see him anymore. So Nick said, I want to get some closure. I want to talk to Katie tonight.
Yeah, well, and there's this scene too where they were getting ready, and Hannah asked him about that, and he's like, "Oh, well, I just like to talk to her and get closure or something." But she was kind of put off by this, and so I think she was kind of walking into this whole thing a little feeling unsteady, probably about the whole situation.
But then Katie comes up to Hannah and says, Nick looks good, because this is her first time seeing Nick. And Hannah says, oh, that's totally cool. But she doesn't mean it at all.
Yeah. Well, and then there's this weird thing where she keeps referring to Katie as like her best friend, and
Okay, not just her best friend in the whole entire world. And this is someone who's your best friend in the whole entire world, and you just met them 2 weeks ago
yeah,
in the pods, and then you didn't really have any conversation with them after that. How can this be your best friend in the whole world?
yeah. This was strange.
But we'll get into that a little bit later, because that comes up when
Right.
they're back from the party.
Yeah. So Katie and Nick, they meet and they talk for a while, and
And Hannah's watching them with Monica, and she's making insecure comments the whole time.
yes, yeah. I mean, we don't know how long it lasts, but Hannah does say it lasted in her eyes like 40 minutes. I mean, it does seem like it probably went for a bit based on how much time was aired, but so they probably did have a conversation. And there was, I mean, it wasn't just all closure. I felt like some of it was almost just playful, fun stuff. But I mean,
Well,
some of it was.
yeah, Nick says, your Instagram is dope to Katie. And then he says, you were the one who dropped me. Why did you do that? And Katie says, well, I just felt like you weren't mature enough. And to give you some feedback, I am proud of the way that you have grown since this whole experience. But yeah, for me, it was the immaturity with some things.
I don't understand how she knew how he's progressing.
Yeah,
at this
how does he
point,
know?
so.
How does she
But,
know? That makes no
yeah.
sense.
But I mean, she was at least. I mean, she definitely was spot on about the maturity thing, and I think she probably did miss the whole fiasco if she had gone through with it. Hannah took that bullet for her instead. But
Yeah, she handed him over to Hannah.
so, yeah, I do think that she was. I mean, she was right in that regard. But
Yes. So they had a good conversation together. She was open and honest. They connected a little bit. And well, first let's talk about this. Hannah's like talking to the girls, and I think all the drinks are flowing. Everybody's like being a little outspoken. And then Hannah's like bringing some private details about their problems behind closed doors out to everybody that probably never should have been said.
oh, yeah, I mean that was strange, and yeah, I don't understand why she needed to discuss those things. I mean, those. Yeah, I feel like those are just things you would not want to. You should be bringing up to friends or whatnot. But
Yeah. And I mean, thinking about it, would you want that aired on national television, you saying all these things about your intimate life with somebody? So that
yeah,
was weird. Um, but one general comment, they didn't bring Leo and Brittany back to this, which I was pretty sad about because they were pretty entertaining.
yeah. Well, that's why I wonder how this event is like organized. If it doesn't, since I guess people weren't like contractually required to show up to this, I wonder
They just
what
picked,
incentivized people to come to this then,
or maybe if you're requested, you come.
or maybe too at this point. I mean, I think they said shortly after the pods, Leo and Brittany broke up, or
Oh, right. Yeah.
so probably
But
by this point they were already broken up, and they're like,
other broken up people came.
yeah, yeah. But they probably had more of, I guess, a friendship with the other people, and probably wanted to just see them, I guess, and hang out.
I guess,
Maybe
but
have an interest in
they
seeing
did
like where they have ended up so far.
they did invite the other pod people though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who knows? I don't know
Sad.
why they didn't show up.
We needed to hear Leo talking about his millions of dollars.
Yeah,
So after the party, Nick and Hannah go home, and Hannah really lays in hard to Nick, saying, you know, my best friend in this whole entire world, and you talked for 40 minutes together. And this is upsetting to me. Why were you guys talking so long? And Nick basically said, I'm committed to you. Like, you, this is why we're together right now. So they were in this fight.
yeah. I mean, once again, it's like another grill session for Nick, and I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, she's like very wondering about the conversation,
What'd you guys talk about? What'd you talk about?
which I mean, he was a little like protective of it. I feel like there really wasn't much to need to hide or something, because that's just going to make her, especially her personality, much more wanting to know. And
I think Nick really did look crushed though. He was like, why did you not want to see me again after the third date?
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it wasn't like he said, oh, I want to be with you. What? So,
yeah,
but this is where Hannah says, Nick, I turned you from a boy to a man.
yeah.
Hannah alone turned him from a boy to a man.
Yeah, this was a weird comment.
This
But
is so insulting.
well, yeah, and it's still just this constant badgering of him, and this theme is clearly constant. And I gotta say, he has to be tired of it at some point. I mean, it's just kind of crazy that he's still, dealing with this. But I don't know. I guess
I mean,
props to him.
yeah, I don't know how he's keeping his cool because Hannah's mad that Katie said that Nick was attractive. Nick didn't say anything about Katie at all. He didn't say a word about what he thought about her.
Yeah,
And so he asks Hannah, like, what does that have to do with me? That your best friend said I was attractive. That has nothing to do with me. I'm only there for you. And then this makes Hannah less mad. But yeah, this tragic, tragic couple.
yeah, yeah. It just is not working out. Well, yeah, and I mean at this point, it's just like every interaction's becoming an argument at this point for them. So, well, and this is where she becomes. She says like, I'm a fun person. I'm a fun person. Uh, and but you're making me not fun, and this whole thing is just stressful, and I can't show you what a fun person I am. And I don't know. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, because she has to go crazy on Nick 24/7.
Yeah.
So let's go into Marissa a little bit. She talks with Bowden, and there's a weird dynamic with Ramses chiming into their conversation when they're talking together.
Yeah, the three of them are like talking at first, but then Ramses says like, "All right, I'll let y'all have your own time talking to each other or whatnot," and so then they get some one-on-one, and I think it's almost a little bit of the same. And I guess I don't know, maybe that's what they're trying to do with some of this too, of bringing back these people, is getting to actually see the person that you said no to. I guess one, to see if there's
Any
are there any regrets or anything like
regrets?
that,
Yeah.
or you know, grass greener on the other side or whatnot. But because I guess Marissa, she does mention like, oh, this kind of helped at least tell me that Ramses was the right one, and it's more of just like a friendship with Bowden versus
Right.
a romantic connection.
Right.
So I guess for her, it did kind of solidify her position.
Yep. So that's really all the key points of the party. So let's dive into the wedding dress shopping and suit outing.
Yeah.
So we see Nick Lachey, and he's with the guys picking out suits,
Yeah.
and Vanessa Lachey with the girls and the dresses.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This whole thing was just strange. I mean, yeah, they're all trying on their dresses and suits, but they bring one or two of their close, either family members or friends, and then it's like Nick and Vanessa asking each one of them, like, who'd you bring with you, and where do you think you are today, and like the friends, it's like, what do you think of the person now that they're, spitting for the other person or something, and yeah, I don't know. This to me dragged out much longer than it really
Way too
needed to.
long. But we did see that Marissa brought her mom,
Yes, yeah, we see her again.
and Vanessa talks to her mom and about Ramses, and her mom says, "Don't worry, I already made my threats to Ramses."
Yeah. Yeah.
But her mom was a lot more mild during this interaction.
Yeah, probably because it was for her daughter's dress fitting versus meeting him, so
Yeah.
a little more of a relaxed situation.
A weird thing that happened was Marissa's mom kept calling Marissa Mama. She's like, "Oh, Mama, that dress looks gorgeous, Mama."
Yeah, that was.
And I was like, the mom's calling her daughter Mama?
Yeah, the dynamic between them is
An interesting one.
yeah, definitely different.
So they're trying on dresses and suits, and it's all emotional, and that's where we end up.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there really wasn't that much to see here. I mean, you kind of got to see each of them trying on their. Well, really more so. I feel like it's more focused on the dresses because, yeah, I mean that's more of a big deal for them versus the guys. But and then you just kind of see the. But then it was even like as like the mom or whatnot. I would almost want more of like at least a first viewing with just like the people that she brought.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird that they all had to be in one big room with one another, like all the pod people that are getting married and their guests. Like it has to be a group activity. We can't have a private moment. I would want my private moment with the people, just the people I brought.
Yeah, I would, and maybe I don't know if they did or not, maybe, but yeah, I would think like even just get that on camera first, and then you could like have a reveal for the rest of the party. But
That's true.
I don't know, at least that.
I guess they just all need to be hanging out.
Yeah,
But yeah.
maybe they did. I don't know, but
Oh yeah, one of them said, "Ooh, I like the color." And then you're like, "Aren't all the dresses white though?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess there's variations of
Of
white.
white.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess that was it.
That's it for episodes 10 and 11.
Yeah, so now we have two more relationships down the drain, and
Goodbye.
the third one on the way, probably next episode. And the next is what, the actual altar day?
Yes. So we'll be back with you next week to recap the wedding.
Yes. We shall see who makes it and who doesn't.
That's right. Episode 12.
Yes.
The wedding bells are ringing. Or are they?
Yeah, the wedding bells, the Christmas bells, who knows?
Who knows? But we will see you all next week for a review of episode 12.
Yes. Well, thanks so much. If you like ours, make sure to follow us on all our different platforms.
And give us a 5-star rating. Subscribe to us.
Or just give us any rating. Give us honest feedback. We appreciate it.
5 stars.